I'm Mike McHugh. This is Richard Clark, and we have a real guest.
Oh, and sorry for the technical difficulties.
Sorry about that. Beyond our control. Yeah, we had the radio on in the background. This is a radio studio, actually, after all. With us is Tracey Brenneman, District Administrator for Guardian Ad Litem here in Carteret, Craven, and Pamlico County. And we had Tracey. First of all, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
You're our first real guest.
Thanks
this is
for
cool.
having me.
First
Yeah,
important person.
First
period.
important person. Yeah, and we just bumped our audience up because we were saying it's Richard's mom, my wife sometimes, and
My husband.
and Tracy's husband. So there we go. We got a half dozen or so listeners out there. We know that's not true because you're all there right now, and several thousand people watch our podcast. But Tracey, tell the folks about the Guardian Ad Litem program. And keep in mind, folks, we're looking for volunteers for this extremely worthwhile program that really is enriching to both the volunteers and the community in which you would volunteer. But tell us, Tracey, what is Guardian Ad Litem?
Guardian Ad Litem volunteers are the voice of the child in court. Some time ago, they recognized a need for someone to be advocating for children in foster care, because children would come into the system and then just drift and never find permanence, and often their well-being was at risk. So there was legislation that there has to be appointed for each child who is in the court system alleged to be abused or neglected, has to be appointed a volunteer guardian ad litem to represent that child in court.
Very good. And I want to get this out a lot during this podcast here. If you are interested in doing it, you're eligible if you're 18 or older. There is some background checks, obviously, because we're talking about and working with children. Right. But you can go on to their website, to Tracey's website, and it's volunteer for GAL, and spell out FOR, volunteerforgal.org. And you can learn the requirements and the prerequisites to become involved with it. It's a commitment, but it's a rewarding commitment. And
an important commitment.
An important commitment. And as Tracey said, there's a lot of children out there that need advocates when they're before the court, and that's what your role would be. And Tracey can tell you what the responsibility is, i.e. the number of children that you would be handling at what time. So why don't we just say that? What is the number of cases a volunteer could possibly be responsible for at one time?
Okay, absolutely. Well, we try to keep it to one. We want them to have one case at a time. This is a volunteer experience, although much greater than your normal volunteer experience. But we do, try to keep it at 1, 2 at the most. But of course, as volunteers, you let us know what you're able to do and handle as far as cases. We do have some volunteers who want to and are carrying a few more than that, but that's mostly because we just need more volunteers because we want to try to keep it at 1, max of 2.
Now, you said that you cover 3 counties.
Yes.
You cover Carteret, Craven, and Pamlico.
Yes.
So if I were a volunteer coming out of the county of Pamlico, would my case pretty much be in Pamlico?
That's correct. Yeah, we have some volunteers who are willing to cross county lines, but because we do represent each of those counties, we are actively recruiting volunteers from each county to represent those kids.
And typically, how many times do they have to show up for court for something?
It depends.
Right, obviously.
And initially, when kids come into care, there's a requirement that the case be before the judge within 7 days. That's due process for the parents and all. Most of the times, our volunteers are not required to be at that initial hearing. That's just to get things going with the court. Within 60 days, there's an adjudication or disposition where the judge actually decides for sure whether this child has been abused or neglected or is dependent. And we would ask our volunteers to be at that hearing. And then under the law, there's additional hearings that need to take place, generally every 6 months, sometimes more, again, just depending on what's going on with the case. And the goal is to try to have that child in a permanent situation within a year. Doesn't always happen. Sometimes it goes beyond that year, unfortunately, depending on parents' progress, what's going on with the kids, finding a permanent placement, lots of variables. But yeah, I would say, once every 6 months, and then some hearings in between,
Okay. So when a volunteer picks up a case,
Yes.
Is there interaction with that, you call them child clients,
Yes.
right? Is that interaction with that child client Monday through Friday in a courtroom setting, or does the volunteer sometimes find themselves at a residence of the child?
Yeah. That's a good question. Thank you. Yeah. What we ask our volunteers to do is to gather as much information as possible to truly know what that child what that child wants to happen, as well as what is in that child's best interest. So we expect them to have at least once a month contact with the child in some form or fashion. Right now it's virtual because of COVID, but we're doing Zoom and FaceTime and that sort of thing to check in with that child, see how they're doing, what's going on. And also they talk with the placement providers, which are often foster parents, sometimes relatives, or and also their parents. Check in with their parents, talk with the social workers involved. So just what they need to do to gather enough information to feel like that the child's well-being is being, that they're is being paid attention to,
Right.
and that they have enough information to make solid recommendations to the court about what's in the child's best interest.
Interesting. If you're just joining us, we're talking with Tracey Brenneman, District Administrator for Guardian Ad Litem in the District 3B, which means Carteret, Craven, and Pamlico. And the purpose of bringing Tracey on this show, besides her being a huge fan of Carteret Connects and the podcast, she's been camping outside here for the last 20 episodes. We finally, okay, come on in. They're looking for volunteers. Volunteers, and you can do that and learn more about the organization by going onto the website volunteer4GAL.org. Is that a place for information, or can they begin the process of applying?
Both. Yeah, that's actually the state website for the Guardian Ad Litem program, and there's a little button that says, I think it says apply now, where you can actually start an application. There's all the information about the history of the program, about what the requirements are. Everything that you need to know about the program is on there. We also have a Facebook page for our local program as well. If you put the Guardian Ad Litem District 3B, you can find our Facebook page. We would love for you to find our page, like it, and share it for us, because that gets it out to lots and lots of people.
And the other thing too, folks, if you're listening here and you're saying, well, you know what, I got a lot on my plate right now. I love to volunteer, but I can't. But you know what? I belong to this civic organization. Maybe when we get things kind of back to normal, Tracey or somebody from the staff would come out and make a presentation to our organization. I know, like, I'm interested in the Swansboro Area Chamber of Commerce, when we get back to our general membership meetings, having Tracey come and present to our group here. So she's looking also to get out into the community to spread the word of GAL. Both to solicit volunteers, but also to make awareness of the program, because a lot of people don't know what this is about.
I honestly, I know a little bit, but I didn't know they had volunteers.
Yeah.
Honestly.
I
think you need to get a PR firm to get your name out there.
Well,
that's what we're here to help
They
do.
You do more. I've seen billboards on 24.
Well, you see all this. You see a lot of, Meals on Wheels, stuff like that. But I hadn't heard a lot of information about this. Like I said, I didn't even know they had volunteers till she came in.
Yeah. Well, one of the things is, of course, we do have limited. We're a government agency, so limited funding. Even just to do the things we need to do for the kids.
Absolutely.
Now, there is a sister organization called Friends of 3B. They are a 501c3 nonprofit, and their mission is to fundraise and to support the program. They raise money to help kids with things, for example, something that Medicaid might not cover, or that the Department of Social Services couldn't cover. Yeah, so that's another way you can help. If you don't want to be a volunteer, you can also look up Friends of 3B on Facebook.
Friends of 3B.
And
Facebook.
And also contact me, and I can get you in touch with them if you want to help those folks out. So that's another way you can help. The other thing is, as far as speaking to organizations, I do also have a virtual presentation. So if your church is meeting, online, or any of your meetings are having business meetings online, I can certainly pop in and make a presentation for that as well.
So for our listeners out there, either seeing it live or seeing it on a rebroadcast, Tracey, do you prefer a phone number or an email contact for people to reach you?
Either one.
So let's put them out there.
So the number straight to me is 252-515-2007. You can also just Google Guardian Ad Litem in our area, and you'll get the Google information that has our main office phone numbers as well. And then my email address is Tracey, and it's TRACEY .T as in Tom .Brenneman, which is BRENNEMAN at nccourts.org. It's kind of long, but nccourts.org.
That sounds easy. So
Yeah.
252-515-2007.
Yes.
So looking for volunteers, we're putting the call out, the call to action for volunteers. Who is the ideal volunteer?
Anyone. And that's an honest answer, because our kids in care vary from, they vary in ethnicity, they vary in socioeconomic, they vary in experiences. Our parents do as well. It runs the gamut, because really abuse and neglect knows no bounds. So anybody who has a heart for children, who has the time, who is over 18 that wants to get involved, we want you. We do want to diversify our volunteer pool. We love all of our volunteers, and we definitely want to have all kinds of folks, so that we can do a good job matching our volunteers with the needs of the kids.
Do you get young volunteers?
We do on occasion, yeah. I think a lot of folks are just busy when they're younger, but we do actually have an intern going to be starting soon that's going to be working with us, so excited about that, but absolutely, yeah.
I would think the court thing might be daunting for people.
It'd be daunting for me.
Yeah.
I mean, think about that.
Not me.
You're standing before it. Well, you've been to court before, yeah. But you're on the other side now.
Yeah.
You're not at the defense table, It's different, The judge is looking at you with a different eye.
Right. Well, and that's the thing. If it was a kid, this is great. I mean, I don't want to minimize anything, okay? It's important for the children, which is obviously the most important, but it'd be a good experience for
It would be.
a young college kid that was either thinking about getting into law or
social
work
or
or any of that type
Yeah.
of stuff.
Yeah, basically what we're looking for is that they have the maturity and the life experience to be able to make those recommendations. So, that's not something you can really put a number on
No.
in terms of age. So yeah, it just runs the gamut.
I was actually thinking about somebody I know when you started talking about it on the radio.
And if you were to volunteer and be with Tracey in the 3B district, your court in Carteret County, of course, would be over in Beaufort, Pamlico
Is Bayboro.
in Bayboro, and then Cravens and New Bern.
That's correct, yeah. And as far as the court kind of being daunting, we do lots of training. We do have a 30-hour pre-service training, which we are able to do virtually right now, as well as interviews. We can do everything virtually, so don't think you have to wait till COVID is under control. We are, these kids
But you don't
need
need to be
advocacy
Matlock
now.
in there,
No,
right.
no. So, because but when because there's an attorney advocate that we have
Right.
who's wonderful, and she's always with our volunteers in court to help talk with the judge. We help you learn, what's needed in a court report. We have a template that helps you know exactly what needs to go in there, and they're with you, always. And we also have supervisors, guardian ad litem supervisors that represent. I have one in Carteret and one that handles Craven and Pamlico. And those supervisors are also there in court with the volunteers to
So you
support
don't need
them.
to go in there and know when to object and all that sort of thing.
No, that's not your
Yeah,
role.
that's what I'm trying.
No.
I think when you talk about going in to represent a kid, you're
Yeah.
thinking lawyer automatically. So
Yeah, there's an attorney advocate.
yeah, you
that
don't have to do
represents-
all that. You just have to have the child's best interest at heart.
Absolutely.
Okay.
You can't handle the truth.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah,
I,
you know,
do I get to make a speech? Maybe I do want to do this.
Well, and you do actually get testified. So that's
Right,
the other piece
okay.
of it is that whenever we submit a court report, often the volunteers also testify to what's in that court report. So you do, get questioned by our attorney, you get questioned by the attorney for the other parties. But again, we do provide the training and the support for that, so it doesn't have to be scary.
And again, you're the advocate for the
Yes,
child.
and
So
they need you.
if the the child is saying, Mr. Rich, Mr. Mike, I don't want to go back to my grandma's house because this, and this scares me. You're more or less taking what that child says.
Yes,
I'm
and-
oversimplifying.
No, that's
but-
good. No, you are, because part of our mandate is to express to the court the child's wishes,
Yeah.
as well as recommend what's in their best interest. Because of course, sometimes
Because
kids
you're the adult in the conversation.
exactly kids don't always know
Yeah.
what's in their best interest, but we do believe it's important, and it is mandated that the judge knows what that child wants, and so we do make sure we express that child's wishes.
So there's a lot of ways to learn about more information on this. I think what we put out so far is extremely helpful. If you're listening and you're still with us at this point, and there's a spark, there's an interest in it, probably just go right to the source here. Just call Tracey at 252-515-2007, or you can go on to the state website for Guardian Ad Litem, and it's real easy. volunteer4gal.org. volunteer4gal.org. That'll get you going in the right direction. And then, of course, the Facebook, they have the Friends of the 3B. Friends of 3B?
Friends of 3D.
How'd you get that?
because they are friends of District 3B.
But you had to be
But
pretty
then-
quick to get that because it's 3B, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you hear 3B, what do you think of? Cell block or
Yeah.
something, right?
Oh, I never thought about that.
You might
No,
get-
it's
you
not
might-
that.
You're not getting Bubba. No. You're getting the Facebook. So there's
He
no
watches
ways
too much Oz.
There's ways. I like Oz. You ever watch Oz?
I have not watched it. No,
Don't.
sorry. Don't. Okay.
It's disturbing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because once you get into that with Netflix, it's like, if you like this, you might like this.
Oh, yeah,
I got
that's
into all
true.
the drug movies. I got the Cartel.
Yeah.
So, by the way,
Yeah, I
not
made
to
him
take
watch
away from
Narcos.
Tracy, but Ozark is coming back for a 4th season.
I heard.
saw
I
that.
keep hearing that's good, but
It's
I
awesome.
haven't gotten into it. I need to
It's
try.
awesome.
It's
Okay.
good.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
it's enjoyable. I mean, it's and then he just gets trapped in the.
It's not quite as gritty as
It's not.
Breaking Bad. But
Well-
it's-
Look at the way season 3 ended.
yeah.
Spoiler
But
think
alert.
when
Breaking
you've
Bad was
done,
across the board like that.
When you've been in child welfare almost 30 years and you kind of
Oh,
see this
geez,
stuff
yeah.
on a daily basis, I watch the British baking show.
Yeah, okay.
I actually know somebody who watches that as well.
Yeah, it's great.
Probably
They're
just
also
watch-
nice to
watch
each other.
TikTok and cat videos
Yeah,
and stuff like that.
exactly.
Horse
Cat
videos.
videos are my favorite. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we have a few of those between us. We got
See-
2.
I got 2. Do you have cats?
I have one cat and 2 dogs. My Chihuahua right now is in heart failure, so everybody say a prayer for Lipton. So,
My-
yeah.
Lipton.
Yeah.
How old's Lipton?
She's 15.
I just
Yeah.
had
Yeah.
my 17-year-old in January passed away.
Oh, I'm so sorry. It's so hard, isn't it?
I had her for a long time.
What's your kitty's name?
Picasso.
Picasso. I would have thought you'd had like Van Zandt or something.
Well,
like that.
yeah. When I
She's
got
in a
her, I
Skinner band too. That's the cool
Yes.
part. That's the
A
cool
Leonard
part
Skinner
about
cover
this.
band.
She's a honkette. Were you
Is it okay to call it a cover band? Is that okay?
No,
Yes.
actually, we consider ourselves America's
There.
Leonard Skinner show. Yeah.
Leonard Skinner
Second
Show.
helping.
Second Helping, which was an album of theirs.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, early
Uh-huh.
in Skinner. Yeah. Now, do you know how the name went? I'm going to ask you this. You know this, but the audience. How was the name? We should have. Where's our damn
Need the
giveaways?
trivia.
I found.
Hey,
some,
I was going to say that earlier. You get a free meal if you go voluntary.
I got a bunch of. Do you, if you all like Moore's Barbecue, say you like Moore's Barbecue, because I got some stuff back in the office that's discounted coupons. We'll start playing that. They had a little hiccup in Swansboro, but they're cleaning it up. So they had a person test positive for COVID.
Oh, no.
But they're coming back. They're getting it all straight and cleaning it up. So anyway, but I got Moore's Barbecue. Where was I going with this?
I don't know where you
Oh, the name Leonard Skinner.
What, you want me to tell you?
Sure. Tell the audience. Show them
They
how smart you
they
are.
named it after their high school. I want to say English teacher. Is it English?
Gym, I think
Gym
it's
teacher. Thank you, gym teacher. Yeah, I should know that. Okay.
Whose name was?
Leonard Skinner.
And they just took out the E's and the O vowels and they put
Yep,
Y's in there.
Y's, mhm.
Because they had long hair.
Yep.
And he was a retired Marine, I
Mhm.
believe. That's interesting too.
Yeah.
He was a retired Marine. He's a World War II guy.
He hated their
And they
long
were in
hair,
what?
so-
They were in what town in Florida?
Oh gosh, I don't know.
Jacksonville.
Yeah,
Jacksonville,
no,
Florida.
the guys in the band would know all
Jacksonville,
this stuff,
Florida.
so,
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
show up and sing.
That wasn't their first name. That wasn't their first name.
No, yeah, I knew that too.
But it was Van Zandt and Rossington Collins, Gary Rossington.
Rossington, yeah.
And Alan Collins.
Mhm.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Now, do you guys play often around here?
No, unfortunately, not too much. I
Right.
mean, because we're a national band, but occasionally we do. We do what's called a fall ball in the Grange every year,
Oh,
which
okay.
raises money
Yeah.
for education in that area. So check us out, because and we do have a Facebook page as well as a web page, second-helping.com. Yeah, second-helping.com.
Second-helping.
It's got all the show dates. Now, again, right now, a lot of our stuff's been canceled.
Oh, it's
but
everybody should know at this
Yeah.
point that
Next-
stuff's fluid.
yeah.
Now, who do you have on keyboards?
His name is Jackie, and
Yeah.
he's amazing.
Well, he has to be amazing.
Yeah.
If he's gonna,
Oh,
you know.
yes. He is, and he plays a Hammond B that we take with us everywhere.
Billy
So,
Powell.
yeah,
Billy
yeah.
Powell on piano.
Yeah.
Oh my
Mhm.
God. Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. The guys play everything note for note. It's well worth.
Do they have any resemblance to the Skinner? Do they wear the hat?
Yeah, but our lead singer wears a wig and a hat, so they
Oh, really?
just like Ronnie. Yeah.
I was about to say you might have to do that. Might be a
Yeah.
Because
requirement.
I saw the reunion band and Gary Rossington. He's put on he's you know he's like we all do you know but they're in this. It's just like you're listening to the original Skinner, and I imagine Second Helping is the same.
Absolutely.
Just close your eyes
and I'm not just saying that because I'm in the band. It's the truth.
now you're off to the left. Are you off like
I
behind
am.
Rossington?
Yeah, we're actually our contract requires that we're up on a riser
Yep.
to the right. Yeah, so
That's cool. Do you how many? What's in your playlist for a typical concert?
We open with MCA.
Yeah,
We
that's
close with
great.
Freebird. We
Yeah.
do Tuesday's Gone. We do, of course, That Smell.
I feel
Simple
like I should
Man.
go, ooh, what you said, free bird.
Yeah, we do Simple Man. We do Sweet Home Alabama.
Of course.
I mean, all of them.
Similar
all
to
the ones,
probably
yeah.
what the
Yes.
playlist, yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Mhm.
And the crowd just loves it. But they're
Absolutely.
and they're calling for Freebird right at the beginning.
Yeah, we just time wait. Okay, we'll get there.
Just wait. Shut up.
wait.
Just wait.
Yeah, we're not gonna play free bird.
Well, and I have to say now, every time I sing anywhere, I actually was singing for an agency Christmas luncheon, and someone in the back yelled "Freebird," and
Of
I'm
course
like,
they did.
seriously.
Of course they did.
We're going to Tracy's going to do. I'm painting. You're going to do this first. Tracy's going to be doing the national anthem for us, and maybe some of the other. Are they honkettes?
Well, we call ourselves the Cover Girls.
Cover
but
girls.
yeah,
The cover
but
girls. Okay.
that's-
Some of the cover girls from Second Helping
Mm-hmm.
may do a rendition of the national anthem, which we broadcast here. We open up Coastal Daybreak, our radio show, each morning with the national anthem. And if anybody out there is listening now that wants to perform and have it sent to us at the radio station, let me get your post-it note here. Send it to WTKF107@gmail.com. A copy, an audio copy of the national anthem. It could be instrumental. It could be vocal or a combination of both. But Tracy and the girls are the cover girls are gonna do a rendition. I'm putting you on this. You got to do
That's
this.
okay.
And then we'll get it in rotation, and it'll play for our opening
You
show.
put it in the comments, and we'll get in touch with you.
Yeah, do that. That'd be fun. So good. Look at all the information we got out here.
This is
You know,
great.
Didn't this paid off stalking us?
Absolutely.
Huh? Now, besides Richard and
I've been stalking him more than you guys.
Really?
but-
Well, she's you sent the email here, I think, to Hannah maybe.
I
that you
did,
wanted to-
yeah.
You come on the radio show, and I saw it on the calendar today, and I forgot. Yeah, July 1st. I said, come
Yeah.
on in. This has been fun.
It's
This is
been
good.
great.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
So again,
It's been informative.
it's really informative, and more than that, it's very important.
Very important.
It's very important.
And let me just say this too, that we are concerned that the stresses of COVID are going to increase the numbers of kids coming into care. We hope not, but anytime you have more stress, you often do have more abuse and neglect. So we really need
Well, I heard
volunteers.
that domestic violence was up there for a while, which I would assume would be
Well,
kind of
and again,
hand in hand.
yes, and the concern is that, of course, these folks are home with their abuser, and these kids are there too, and so yeah, so
Well,
there are
if you can,
concerns.
Tracy, give the people out there an idea, just in round numbers. How many children are we talking about in Carteret, Pamlico, and Craven?
Right now, well, altogether we have about 194 children right now that we're representing. 12 in Pamlico, 119 I think in Craven, and the rest here in Carteret. And we only have 57 volunteers. So if you do the math, that shows that they're doing more than one case. And again, we are already starting to see an increase. And so the volunteers we already have at least one case, and some have several more.
Mm-hmm.
So as these new cases come in, we're really scrambling. So, and because there is a process to get our volunteers ready, we need everybody now. So,
Let me ask this question. And this was a real life situation, albeit very tragic. Richard and I were both at the Daily News back in 2017.
I was there until 2018.
In 2017 November, and I was a reporter, and we got the call on a Monday morning, right about this time of the day, missing child, 3-year-old Mariah Woods. In Onslow County, and the case evolved into the child's body eventually being found Saturday in a wooded area down in Pender County. But in talking to people involved in the case, in law enforcement, and also neighbors, and then other people involved, they were saying that they had seen the abuse at that home with that 3-year-old child. If people are living in a community, and I'll just describe it this way, as a next door neighbor to a house that looks, it's not the Cleaver residence, right? And they feel as though there's abuse going on. Without becoming the nosy neighbor, is there an avenue that people who think or suspect there's abuse going on inside a house,
yes.
can they contact you versus law enforcement, or what's the proper channel to?
They really need to contact the Department of Social Services in the county.
And that's you came from that background. You were
I did formerly
Okay.
with almost 30 years.
So help me. Just
department,
let's pretend the scenario that I live next door to somebody, or I live in the same community, and I suspect that something untoward's going towards the children in that house. There's minors. What do I do?
Okay.
Just
Well,
sit
first of all,
do I sit on my hands and it'll take care of itself, or do I
by
speak
law,
up?
if you suspect, there's actually a law that says anyone in the state of North Carolina that suspects that a child's being abused or neglected is required by law to report to the Department of Social Services. I think sometimes people are afraid because they're like, I really don't have any proof. But you're airing.
It's none of my business.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
But you're really erring on the side of caution. If you make a report and it doesn't meet the criteria, if it really doesn't rise to the level of abuse or neglect, they're going to screen it out. If it does, they're going to go out there to see what's going on. Again, if there's nothing going on, they'll they don't stay involved. They don't have the time to stay involved with families that don't need them. Okay?
Does the person that makes their report be anonymous?
Well, again, by law, technically, you're required to give your information. If you say I'm going to be anonymous, that doesn't mean they're going to ignore your report. So let me just say it that way.
Okay.
And a reporter's information is 100% confidential. The only time in 30 years I've ever seen a reporter's name revealed was one time under a judge's order, and that was because there really was reason for that. In 30 years, the names have never.
So it's not a public race.
It absolutely not.
It's not
Yeah,
public record.
it is.
Okay.
It is 100% confidential, and these kids really need us. I mean, we were talking earlier about how abuse and neglect in our communities impacts all of us because these children grow up to be adults who make these decisions in life and have more children, and it just perpetuates.
Well, you had a number that your program saves the state, didn't you?
We do. We save considerable amount of money because when the program first started, it was all the
lawyers.
advocates were attorneys, instead of volunteers. Now, because of the number of volunteer hours that we're able to cover, it saved the state $13.2 million in fiscal year 2019.
Which ultimately is tax money.
Absolutely,
It is all tax money.
Absolutely.
Right.
So
and
it really
then when you
benefits
combine
everybody.
that $13 million with the putting these kids back on the street unprepared, with legal
you can't
stuff,
put a price tag on that.
that number's that number probably dwarfs the other number.
It's exponentially
Yeah.
larger. Yeah.
So I mean, you're doing a good thing if you volunteer for a program. That's what it amounts to.
So the way to do it, and there's
And you
several.
can start with one child.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah. And again, we talked during the radio show. People that I know that have been involved in the program for years. It's not something they will do it for a couple of years and bounce out. They stay with it because it just
it's
becomes
so rewarding.
It's so rewarding. Check out the website volunteer4gal.org, or you can call Tracey at 252-515-2007. They have a Friends of 3B. That's the district on Facebook. If you put Friends of the 3B.
That's for the nonprofit.
Nonprofit.
Nonprofit that supports her.
Which is support. So cash is king. If that's what you're thinking about, you want to throw some money their way. That's where you do that. If your civic group or your group, whatever your group is out there, that would like to have Tracey or somebody else in the office come by and talk to you. If you're in Pamlico, Craven, or Carteret County, just contact Tracey. Again, it's 252-515-2007 and volunteer4gal.org. So
I'll talk to your hunting club, so I don't care. Whoever let me come, I will come.
and she'll talk to you to come to the second helping concert between songs,
That too.
between breaks.
Yeah, that too.
After intermission or
I can hook you up to some
before
good-
the encore.
Hey, free ticket if you volunteer.
I could probably work that out, to be honest with you.
Now, do they ever play over in this area? In the Eastern?
She said they haven't played here, but they play on the Grange.
Occasionally, we have. Yeah. We played in, I think we played in Kinston last year or the year before that. And actually we're going to be at the Maywood in Raleigh
You
in
played
August.
in the barbecue festival, didn't you?
We did.
Yes. Actually, I've seen them now that I think about it.
Yeah.
I was working for the newspaper there.
Yes.
So
absolutely.
vaguely. I was in and out, so I didn't watch the entire show. But I
You know where you
remember
guys
it now.
would kill it. I would love for you to come. And I have no part of the festival, and I don't know if they're going to do it this year, but the Mullet Festival.
Oh yeah.
That would rock.
Mm-hmm.
Have Skinner. Have second helping it. Because they all have that.
The Mullet Festival organizers right now going, oh my God.
Well,
what is
'cause
this?
all they have is that beach music.
Well,
and I hate beach music.
Yeah, I'm not a big beach music.
Oh my! I said, you know what? When they were trying to,
He lives on pretty much the beach.
yeah. The Tams are great. I mean, the performers that come to the Mullet Festival, they're great. They're great. I mean, they're great. I just don't like.
Apparently not so great.
Don Wilson loves beach music. I said if they wanted to get Osama bin Laden out of Tora Bora, they should have just blasted beach music 24/7. I'd run out. I'd get on my camel and run out of there in a heartbeat.
So no Jimmy Buffett for you?
I love Jimmy Buffett.
Oh, we
That's
did
different.
play.
That's different.
Is it?
Oh hell yeah!
Okay.
Yeah, Jimmy Buffett's the thing.
It's the shag music. Jimmy Buffett. You don't shag the Jimmy
No.
Buffett.
No.
No.
You
I like
leave to the
Skinner.
left.
I like Skinner. That would rock in Swansboro. Am I wrong? Tell me.
No,
Mom, what do you think?
it would be big around these parts, I think.
With the mullet festival? Yeah. I wore for years. I wore a mullet wig, and because we were at the
On purpose?
Well, yeah, it's a mullet festival.
Oh, okay.
But people would walk by, and it's like, all right, yeah, it's a mullet festival. They thought it was real, because Swansboro is so close to Hubert. It's not, you see a lot of.
Used to be a lot of mullets
You see
around
a lot
there.
of real mullet, coming out of that Hubert area. And Swansboro, I joke. People love me.
They did, right?
Not so much.
Yeah, they did, yeah, no, they don't. Yeah, jerk. Go back to Pennsylvania.
Exactly.
I've gotten that before.
Oh, no, that's
Yeah,
where my
you-
husband's from Philadelphia.
I'm from Allentown. I'm just up the line.
Okay.
He's a Philly boy. Yeah.
Oh.
What brought you down here?
Well, I'm from Texas originally.
Oh,
So
really?
that's why I was telling him I like his Dallas Cowboys.
Oh, okay.
stuff, Yeah.
When you keep saying you're playing in LaGrange, I'm thinking you should play ZZ Top.
Yeah.
There was
I was scared all the time.
There was a beach band that played last year. Was it last year? Emerald Isle Music. I guess it was in the fall, right? And it was one of those. If you follow beach music, you follow these guys. But they did Sharp Dressed Men, and they had
nice.
the beard. That was good. They put the beards on. That was fun. So,
It was a respite from beach music, is what you're saying?
I covered it for the chamber. I went out there and took pictures. So I
Anyway,
just like to go backstage. Just like I'm important. I'm not, but I like. Actually, it was before I came on here, and now I have real, newspaper credentials again. But I used my Swansboro tag as like a press. But I went to chamber. You go back and take some pictures of it.
now we're talking about abuse
Where are
of
these
power.
pictures going to be shown? Where are these pictures going to be shown? AP, Associated Press. I'm stringing. Shut up and smile. So.
Anyway,
Hey Tracy, thank you for
shout out our email again.
Yes.
I mean that website one more
All
time.
right, well, it's Tracy Brenneman. I said it right this
You
time.
did, yeah.
I should have known it's a Philly name.
Yeah.
Well, not that it's Brenneman, but remember David Brenner? He was a Philly guy,
Kinda.
comedian.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, I
Remember
know
him?
a
Remember David
Brenneman
Brenner?
from
My
Pennsylvania.
husband probably would.
Yeah, he would. He died, but not your husband. David Brenner. He was a comedian. He was always on Mike Douglas and those shows, the talk shows. He was funny. He was a comedian.
Anyway.
Tracy. Okay, so it's Tracy Brenneman. Her email is her name, and it's Tracy with an E. So it's EY .T. Brenneman. BRENNENMAN.
NNEMA. No N.
Her
The
phone
second.
number is 252
Yeah,
515
And the website is?
The website's easy. Volunteerforgal.org.
Yes.
And they got it there. 252-515-2007. Remember that number. Call if you want to volunteer.
Call
If
now.
you want to give cash donation, that's the friends. Or if you want Tracy to come out and speak to your group like this.
Volunteer ad
And
live.
volunteer and pass this and share this too. Because this is important. Just look at the numbers. If it's just one child that needs help in the 3-county area, that's
Hey,
one
look,
too
the
many.
reality of it is if you just come volunteer and see one child through, that's
Making a
something.
difference.
Yeah.
You know
Absolutely.
what I mean? So,
Yeah.
anyway,
Anyway,
Thank you
Tracy.
so much.
This
Thank
is
you for
awesome.
coming.
Thank
It's
you.
a pleasure.
Thank you.
you ready?
Go.
Bye. We're a little less formal than some
No,
of the
that was